Welcome along once again to RPL Tier 2 for Season 10. It is time for some action at Britain. Most of the drivers home track when it comes to this race, and on the weekend of the 4-year anniversary of RPL. As from last week, we had Grandpa win his second Tier 2 race. He is the points leader now. Once again, chaotic race in Austria led to a lot of penalties post-race, a lot of incidents, and a lot of action, a lot of unknowns. Stuff we've probably never seen in RPL before happen in that race. That race was an absolute thriller for the good and the bad reasons. We went over our point standings because, we went over the results from last week already from Grandpa winning in Austria. Let's go over your point standings. Grandpa has a 24-point lead over Hunted. He's ahead of that person as well by 25 points. And Valk is 30 points back. Your constructor standings. McLaren is off to a really good start. They lead over Ferrari. Mercedes also behind Ferrari by 5 points. Ferrari behind the leaders of McLaren by 5 points. And Red Bull. They are 16 points back in the standings. As for the rest of things, we'll get over our penalties to be served, headlines, and changes in just a moment. But with that said, Red Bull, they're very low in the constructors compared to where they previously were at the end of last season. Last season, they ended up winning the constructors title. However, it's been a little tricky to try to redeem themselves and go back to back. Not only are they trying to go back-to-back as well, but McLaren are on a really good start. McLaren have a total of 2 race wins this season. It's been quite a while since they won before this season, and now they've got 2 of them in a span of 3 races. Also, with that being said as well, Grandpa, 2 wins on the season for McLaren. Florian, you do not see him up there, but he won in Spain. He's the only other winner on the season. Let's get to our penalties to be served and headlines today. Florian, for his actions last week and due to penalty points, will be serving a qualifying ban to start off this event. Your driver for Ferrari? I don't see him in the lobby. He's a little late, I believe. Yeah, there he is. It's on his Xbox this time rather than his PC, but he has a qualifying ban as previously said. He will be starting at the back of the grid. Not only will he be starting at the back of the grid, but there is a couple other changes as well for Tier 2. We have FBL, who's just recently signed a contract for Aston Martin to go full-time for the rest of the season. FBL, he's had some decent races, I will say. He gave Alfa Romeo their best Tier 2 finish last week with the P5s. So, and that's Alfa Romeo's best finish in the F123 cycle for Tier 2. So, props to FBL for that. This time he's over at Aston and the Mercedes Academy. And it will be full-time. Not only is he full-time for Aston Martin, but Zakaria, who's in the lobby in the Williams, he has been dropped to a reserve. Therefore, he can compete in Tier 2 as well. Zakaria has not had the best streak as of recent. He's had no points since Monaco Tier 1, which was almost 2 months ago now at this rate. It has been a while since Zakaria has had some points to his name in RPL, and realistically, the main 2 tiers of Tier 1 and Tier 2. He's had points in F2, but that doesn't mean anything when it's not the same as your F1 or F1 Tier 2 series that RPL runs. With that said, there's one other change as well that we have to go over before we get launched. It is the team principal qualifying ban rule. So this rule comes into effect usually an hour before each race. Now it's been changed. We'll reiterate on that in just a moment. For the rule itself, here was the rule. This was the previous rule. You cannot be assigned to a team less than an hour until the event starts without serving a qualifying ban. You could be signed to a team within the last hour, but you'd have to serve a qualifying ban. Now, with that said, it's 15 minutes basically before the event. Basically, when the lobby opens. If you've been signed to a team by then, within those 15 minutes, well, you're gonna have to serve a qualifying ban. If you've been served, or sorry, if you've been, excuse me, if you've been assigned to a team before then you will not have the qualifying ban that would interfere. So, team principals, it's really up to them for them to do their job, make their decisions, do what they need to. And it's also up to the drivers to do not back out last minute in order to have things go the way as well that they need it to. And now we're getting underway for the Silverstone race. Also, PK in the lobby has a qualifying ban as well. PK, I believe, was here last week. He was 2 qualifying bans to serve, I believe. Let me just check to be sure. Yes, PK does have a qualifying ban. We will document that now on our sheet. If Cal were to show up, he would also have a qualifying ban. He's part of the Red Bull Academy, reserved for them. A couple other things as well. Leon Miner got some points to his name last week as well. The last time he scored points in RPL Tier 2, he ended up scoring back-to-back points finishes. Leon did, and that was last season in Japan and Imola. So fair play to Leon for getting some points on the table for the first time in almost a season. The question is, can he go back-to-back? He was one of the clean ones last week, as part of some of the drivers who did not fare well. Florian and Hunted were going at it. Florian more at fault than Hunted was. Florian absolutely had a lot of aggression on his mind, without a doubt. He wants to redeem himself this week by racing a little bit cleaner. He's frustrated with himself, obviously, from that. As for Florian's sake, it is unfortunate because it does change a lot of the race, and it does change where he finishes. The point standings, there's a lot that goes into it with Florian in terms of what had happened there. All right, we're going to turn the volume down just a little bit on my TV. That should be better. And we'll turn it down just a little bit more. It's not really how I want it. All right, here we go. We have someone going on in track. We will go on board with them and talk about a couple of things while we're at it, too. All right. Chat, welcome along. Good to have you all here. Whoever is watching. First car out to McLaren. Grandpa, your championship leader. 58 points on the board, 24 ahead of his competition. Let's talk about him for a moment. He is one of 3 drivers who have scored points in every round this season. Grandpa, Kipu, and there's someone else. Grandpa, Kipu, and Hunted are the 3 drivers who scored points in all 3 rounds. Kipu's not here today. Hunted is. Grandpa is. So, could be points for them. Let me turn down the volume as well on the stream. Don't mind me. There we go. Don't want it too loud, but I don't want it too quiet either. So we're just fine now. We'll go on board with him, considering he is the first driver to start a lap. Just gonna get the stream out there for people who want to watch. Yeah, I will say he's been on form pretty well recently. Grandpa has. I'm actually impressed with how he's shaped up the first 3 rounds of the season. Yes, it's consecutive points in a row. Yes, he's on a lot of pace, but he's dragging that McLaren to not only places it maybe shouldn't be, but he's dragging that McLaren to 2 race victories now, and they haven't won a race in multiple seasons in Tier 2. And as for Tier 1, they haven't won in almost, well, actually, yeah, over 2 seasons now in Tier 1. So, you know, he's doing what he needs to, especially considering he's leading the championship. He has a 24-point gap. He could come out of here DNFing, and he might still lead the championship. That's how much of a gap he has over his competition. Here we go, Sector 1, 27.3. I'm going to take you through this track here. Sector 2 we go to now. 4th gear here. 3rd gear for most of the drivers. You're going to shift up to 4th quite quickly. A little bit slower. He shifted up than I expected him to. A lot of famous corners around the circuit. Really the home of F1, you could say. And with that being said, really, you could call it the home of RPL now with it being a UK-based league. And with that said, 4 years now. 4 years in the making as of this Sunday, RPL has been founded for. We appreciate the owners. We appreciate the admins. Everyone who's been a part of it as well throughout what will be our 4th year into RPL. Well, 4 years, like you said. Within, as of the Sunday. Final sector now for Grandpa. He's got a little bit of traffic in front of him. Brakes around the 100-meter board. Clips against that curb. That's a curb you don't want to clip. This is a trouble area, especially on traction. Comes out of the final couple corners. 6th gear, 7th gear to the line. Here he goes. 125.9. Top of the board. First one to set on time. So FBL next is setting a time as well. Is there anyone else on an outlap who we could focus on who's about to start one? It is Zakaria. Zakaria's not had the best of performances, I must say, in his Tier 1 stints. I know it's also partially due to the cars he's been in as well, but he really just has not had luck on his side either. He needs something to go his way. And dropping down to a reserve, being in Tier 2, is this where it comes from? To find out. Is that Mythic crashed out of the session? It is! Has he collided with somebody in the process? And is that his AlphaTauri teammate? A PK, who should not be out on track right now. PK has a qualifying ban to his name. Oh dear. Well, Florian has served his qualifying ban. Mythic's out of the session, and PK is in the session but has the qualifying ban. And potentially collided with his teammate right there. That is not good. Well, failing to serve the penalty and then colliding with a driver. That's something they'll be looking at for sure after this. And has Mythic said anything? Well, Luke has, the league owner, and he said, you have a qualifying ban. Goggy sets in a time, Instinct sets in a time, a couple of drivers setting in a time. Zakaria now coming through the final sector of this track. Here he comes. He is really pushing the limits. He got offered a McLaren seat before the start of this race. He said, no, not going to take it. I don't want a qualifying ban. But can he take this Williams to a place that Williams does not belong? Comes out of the final corner now. Where is Zakaria going to be? He is 7th fastest. Zakaria, who did not get the chance to go after lap 1 in the Austrian Grand Prix last week, setting himself really nice here for a nice starting spot in this race so far. Just by the qualifying session as we stand. Also, if people have not caught on as well, JTK as well is at Red Bull now as well. PK coming back to the pit lane. We see Mythic typing in the chat. Let's see his reaction to the incident that left him out of the session. Was it with PK? Did they touch? Did they almost come to collision? What happened? Oh, yes, they did. It was due to PK stopping on the track in front of Mythic. That's why he's out. And PK, I believe, had the qualifying ban due to obviously showing up late to the session. We were supposed to have 15, and now PK is late, qualifying ban, and now has been in a collision. So this is not good news at all. Alright, well, 10 minutes left in this qualifying session. Let's get to more important things like a lap time. FBL is, I think, going for another one here. Yes, he is. FBL, you know, I actually have been impressed with FBL. FBL little bit of inconsistency issues, but nothing too severe, I must say. And I'm not lying by this. I really do think he is someone who can drag cars to places they shouldn't be. Obviously track dependent. And that's really the way it is with a lot of these drivers, honestly. Got Alfa Romeo their best finish on this game cycle in Tier 2 last week. He's always up there in those points finishes in cars that are not really point scorers, so fair play. Here we go. Up on his time right now is FPL. Here we go. Now through the middle part of the track. Let's get to the corner names now. Coming to Cops, and now Maggots and Beckett's is coming up for FBL. And Aston Martin. Maggots, Beckett's. A little wide there into Beckett's. That could definitely cost him time when he was up in his lap. Goes wide and it's going to go spinning. Luckily is not in the barrier, but goes through the gravel. And kicks a bit of stones up. Comes back on to the racetrack and does not have any damage. He was lucky to not hit the wall there. He was going off into the wall, surely. But he was very smart to steer out of it, without a doubt. Here we go, Grandpa. Third place on our charts. On a lap right now. Here he goes. What can he do? Coming through the sector split here. 74 thousandths up on his time. Comes through now. Brooklyn's Luffield. Purple in his time, just trying to improve the lap time here. Let me try something here on my computer. I need to fix something. There we go. Cops, Maggots, Beckett's, here we go. Only one man has been on pole in all 3 races. It's going to be changed, but can Grandpa be the one to take pole position, to be the second different driver for pole position? We're only halfway through the session, but he is up by almost 2 tenths and still could find time in this final sector. We got yellow flags. That's an AlphaTauri slowing down. And PK's still out on the track. And here comes Grandpa through a sector could easily invalidate from. Here goes Grandpa to the line. Front row for now. Almost 4 tenths up on that time. He is in the 25.5s. So he is definitely finding the time that he needs to prevail up on the grid. More people watching. Give us your pro predictions here, chat, for the race. We would like to know who you think will win. Who do you think will be on pole position? Would be nice to know. PK now has served the qualifying ban correctly, but it does not come without consequence, surely. Punted on a lap now for Red Bull. The Red Bull driver who's been on the podium already this season. Twice. Trying to add a third to his name. Hunted, Grandpa, the 2 drivers who've been on podium twice. No one's been on it 3 times so far this season. Hunted could be the second ever driver to take a pole position, in fact. But here he comes through the sector split. Oh my god. A 10th already up on his time. Here he comes. Brooklyn's Luffield's. Line's he going to take? I mean, this section right here on the left side, you could easily go to the runoff and have a little bit of a slide, and that's track limits. You could be pushing here in Cops as well. Track limits. A lot of places that have track limits that you could easily make a mistake, invalidate, and ruin your lap time. I mean, he is really pushing these limits, Hunted is. This is impressive through Maggots and Beckett's. Can he hold on to it, though? He goes wide, but still is continuing up on the boards. 96 thousandths. I told you there was a little bit left on the card still, and his teammate giving him a little bit of a slipstream. That's going to help just a little bit. Couple of thousandths gained. However, here he comes into the final sector now. The chicane, and then the final corner. You don't want to clip those red curves. You don't want to go in the runoff. You don't want to lose traction. You got to go up the gears the right time and push the limits. Here comes Hunted to the line. Is it an improvement? Yes, it is. He's in the 25.2s. Stays on provisional pole and extends that gap. Well, Who else is on the lap? Gruggers, by the way, returns to Tier 2. Just went 4th fastest. Who else is on a lap? How about Tret Racer as well? Tret Racer, a little up and down here in RPL as of recent. You know, I look at some of the stats. DNF in 5 of the last 7 races, but he also got Williams their best finish in this game cycle, tying it last week in RPL Tier 2. Sorry, 2 weeks ago in RPL Tier 2 in Spain. It's not been the best of recent races for him, but you know what? Him in a Mercedes right now, let's see what he could do. He was in Mercedes last week. Didn't finish the race, I'm pretty sure. Not the way he wants it to go. But could find time for improvement, and he is already finding time for improvement in this qualifying session. 2/10 up on the time. Can he find more through the middle sector now? Comes through left field now. A little bit of a slide. Here he comes now to Cop's corner. Pushing the limits. Yellow flag to the final sector. That's Groggers, who plans to start a lap here. The only Ferrari on track, considering Florian has a qualifying ban. 4 minutes remaining. You want to go out around 2 minutes 30 to get your qualifying lap set up perfectly. Now, the middle sector complete. 4/10 up in the time. Can he go to the second row safely this time over Groggers? Can he take that back from what he's been missing the last couple of weeks here, Tret Racer? Like I said, it's been a DNF 5 of the last 7 races. It's not the way you would have wanted it to go, but you know what? That could all change in RPL in just a split of a second. Here he comes out of the final corner. He's invalidated it. He went wide right there, and it would have been a 25.617, which would have put him 3rd. Oh, that's unfortunate for Tret Racer. Oh. Well, that misfortune's going to make him go again. Surely recharge it up, go to the pit lane, whatever you do. If you go to the pit lane now, actually, you're not going to be able to go out for another lap. You better hope there's enough fuel in that tank to get back out and run another lap time. Well, the other Mercedes is on a lap. Valkyrie. Valkyrie had the shunt last week into the barrier, going off in that DRS train. Valkyrie was running a decent race. She's 4th in the standings right now and off! And that's her throwing broken. Just as I say, she had a decent race in the previous rounds at Spain with her first podium, and a bad race last week at Austria, which was a DNF. She goes into the barrier. Well, not what is needed. Valkyrie, the only female winner in RPL that comes in F2. Yet to win in RPL Tier 2. Oh, it's going to have to be from very low in the grid now, as we have, what, 2 minutes remaining in the session, maybe? Is there 2 minutes? Yellow flags, a lot of yellow flags. I can't see if there's 2 minutes left. Yes, 2 minutes left. If you're not on a track now, you definitely want to be soon here, and Tadpole is backing up. Instincts in the Haas right here. This is not good, because that could have ended in a collision. However, they're trying to find enough space between the drivers to set themselves up for a clean run, a clean lap, and have everything go to perfection. The Alpine does get out of the way of Tadpole. Tadpole, the only previous champion here in RPL Tier 2, running this race. Tadpole only one championship to his name a couple seasons ago in Tier 2. Talk about previous champions specifically in RPL. You do have to include Molly on that list, who's on a lap right now. Let's watch him in his Alpine. Comes through, 2/10 up on his time. Well, Molly, in fact, out of the drivers who've ran more than one race, he's had no in-game or no stored penalty yet. He's the only driver to have that happen with more than one race. To be fair to his credit, to be fair to neutralize the credit, in one of those races, he really did not see the finish, whereas last week he did. And if you include back to last season at Brazil in the season finale, he didn't even see past the end of the first sector. So He wants to turn things around here. He's got a Haas in his way. As for traffic, that got close for a second. Track Racer's out of this session, but Molly trying to improve on the time. 5/10 up on the board. Can he go inside the top 5 or get up onto the 3rd row for P6? What can he do in this Alpine? Remember, a podium back in Italy, so, you know, he does have some good races to his credit recently. Molly comes to the line now. What is this going to be? It will be P6 on the boards. 9/10 of an improvement in his Alpine, just off Track Racer. So just off the top 5. Now we have more drivers coming for laps here. Valkyrie will not get to the flag in time. Blue Goggy comes to the line now. He's going to not make it. Oh, no. Oh. There was an improvement from somebody right there who just crossed the line. That was... Who improved? I don't know who that was. However, Hunted is improving on his lap. We'll get to that lap in a little bit. However, we have Aston Martin's coming to the line. FBL, Leon. Leon is 13th fastest. He is slowest of anybody still left in this session. Next is the other Aston Martin. That is FBL. FBL up to P7. So an improvement on the lap time right there. Valkyrie, checkered flag for her. She cannot make it to the flag in time, so that is trouble to her. But can Grandpa go any faster? He's invalidated, so it is not anything hopeful for him. He comes to the pit lane. Instincts next on the table. Can he find time in his Haas? Will it be an improvement past Tadpole? Will it be an improvement just on time? It will be improvement just on time. He does not improve a place. Next on our board is Tadpole, who goes spinning off in the final corner. Next is Hunted, comes to the line. He extends pole position, 24-9. On pole position by 5/10. JTK can't do anything about it. Groggers can say something about it, but he's not improving. Groggers does improve, but no places. It will be Hunted on pole position by an amazing gap. Almost 6/10 ahead of the competition. Wow. That is impressive. I mean... Fair play to Hunted. Two podiums to his name already. Second in the championship, Tranigan and Grandpa. The top 2 in the championship start 1-2. They've scored points in every round. 2 podiums for both them. Not 3. Trying to find their 3rd one in 4 races this would be. But... that all starts with a pole position in a front row for Grandpa. Fair play. Fair play to Hunted. Medium tire lap connected back to the flag in time. Here we go. Here's your final rundown of the order for qualifying as we conclude this session. It is a Red Bull 1-3, Hunted ahead of Grandpa in the McLaren, Red Bull McLaren front row. Then it's the Red Bull Ferrari second row. JTK and Groggers make up that second row. Track Racer rounds out the top 5. He had good pace last week, but could not convert it. DNF in 5 of the last 7 races, trying not to make it 6 of the last 8. Molly as well. No penalties to his name to start the season so far for Tier 2. P6. Trying to be up farther on the grid to get a second podium in the last couple of races for Tier 2. Got one in Italy. FBL, full-time contract at Aston Martin. He's 7th. Zakaria, down to reserve. P8 for Williams. He felt like there could be more on the table. Tadpole, the previous champion. P9 and Instincts rounds out the top 10. Previously won a race last season. And here are your runners outside the top 10. You have Blue Goggy, who got in a time there at the end for Haas. 12 fastest. Valkyrie and the Mercedes on the mediums back there. Florian back there due to the qualifying ban. And Leon Miner for Aston Martin, who scored points last week. Slowest of the drivers who completed the session. So let's talk about some tricky corners around this circuit before we go over the strategy. We're going over the driver standings. We'll go over that during the race in a moment as well. But I want to talk about turn 1 for track limits. And then you head down after that, the Wellington Straight heading to Brooklands, that's a section you could really mess up. Luffield as well. Cops for track limits. You can't always do it flat out. Maggots and Beckett's. It's always hard to nail that corner. And I'm going to say Stowe in that whole final sector in terms of traction. Very, very tough. Expect a soft to hard, medium to hard strategy for the drivers, or they will do the reverse strategy. And not as likely, but the drivers could do it. Soft mediums or medium to soft. No points for pole, but Grandpa leads the championship over Hunted by 24 points as we head to today's race. And now we just wait for the drivers to get in their setup, mess with the fuel. Well, alter their setup, actually. Mess with their fuel. And pick what tires they're shutting on. "26 laps around Silverstone." Here we go. Here we go. Here come the lights for the Grand Prix. The home of RPL, the home of most drivers' Grand Prix. Here we go. They rev it up. And we already have a safety car, so this could potentially mean a restart. Usually that's not supposed to happen, but the game glitch comes into effect, and it looks like it's going to be a restart. Yes, it is going to be a restart here. It is going to be a restart. Here we go. Yep, that answers that. Oh. There we go. All right, we'll be waiting for an invite back to the session since there's a restart on deck. Come on. Why won't this send? I'm trying to get confirmation from Jack and Luke on something, but this is very annoying. Either way, just waiting on things to restart for the session, and then we'll get back underway, similar to last week. In fact, you know what's funny about this? I really hate to say this, but we have Austria last week, Silverstone this week, Spain, I think, the previous week too. I think Spain was a restart. Spain, Qatar the opening round. Oh, no, was Qatar the opening round? No, it wasn't. It was Bahrain. I'm thinking of F2. Bahrain the opening round. Brazil the final round. That's at least 5 Grand Prix in a row that have had a restart. I think Italy did too. If that's the case, 5, 6 races in a row we've had a restart. So whether... no, 7 because of Vegas. Oh my god. So whether it's due to a host mistake, whether it's due to the game glitch, whatever it is, we've had restarts for the 7th time in a row. Oh my god. Well, you may as well call a restart every week, honestly, at this point with Tier 2. Tier 2 just can't seem to get it right, and it's really unfortunate because we get a halt to the action. Viewers tend to turn off the action, or at least pause for a moment and never come back till after the start. Whatever it is, and it's unfortunate because... you know, if we didn't have the restart, I mean, we would have known what happened right away. Like we said the last couple weeks, attempt number 2. Well, yeah, we're going to see attempt number 2 come into play once again, which is really unfortunate, like I said. Well, we do have an invite to the lobby, and we'll go over a couple things as well. With that said, my gosh. There we go. I fixed the stream quality for myself. It was a little bit a little bit poor on my end. So hopefully for you guys, if you guys were able to fix that too, that was good. Well, the lobby is open. We do have the grid for the start. It's Hunted, Grandpa, JTK, Groggers, Chat Race for your top 5. Obviously, we knew the rest of the order. We went over it in qualifying. We'll go over a couple of the guys outside the top 10, see what noise they can make. That shall be interesting. We'll go over a bit in depth to the strategy as well, too, in a moment. We'll go over the driver standings again in a moment, too. So, and the constructors. We'll make sure we hit on all that before we come into this after a little bit of a restart, a little bit of a halt to things. If you're just joining in, the safety car was deployed at the start of the race there for Tier 2, and that's a game glitch, so we have to restart. And we had qualifying get underway, and before that, and we had Hunted on pole position for Red Bull. So those of you tuning in, you're gonna have to wait to see some action in a little bit here. Alright, well, interestingly enough, Hunted has not won a race in Tier 2. So he is trying to go for his first. Chat, if you're just joining us, we have 16 drivers racing. Not only do we have 16 drivers racing, but we have a battle for the top of the table and the points at stake as well. Grandpa, ahead of Hunted by 24 points. That person's not here. He's 25 points back from the championship lead. Valkyrie F1, she is 30 points back from the lead of the table. She's trying to win her first Tier 2 RPL race. She's won before in RPL, but never in Tier 2. She's won in F2. Only female driver to win in RPL. Grandpa, trying to win a third race in RPL. 3 of the last 4 he would make it if he were to win. Hunted has never won in Tier 2, trying to win his first. So, we shall see. We shall see what can happen there. Your constructors, we'll go over that in just a moment. Yeah, so Hunted has won in F1.5, but that does not count because it would be Tier 2. So that makes sense. F1.5 was before Tier 2 was created, so there you go. Interesting. Yeah, so there you go. I mean, that's interested to find out about Hunted as for his history in RPL. McLaren. McLaren, they're top of the table in the championship for the constructors. 64 points on deck. Ferrari, they're 5 points behind. McLaren, by the way, they only have one driver in the lobby, but Jack Miles has taken to McLaren to run for them. I don't think he'll score points, but there is 2 McLarens in the lobby now, as there was 1 in qualifying. Obviously, Jack Miles is going to have to start from the back of the grid. With that said, not only is that the case as well, but Ferrari, 2 drivers in the race. They have 1 starting at the back of the grid with not Jack Miles, excuse me. My apologies. They have Florian starting at the back of the grid first qualifying ban, excuse me. Mercedes, 10 points back from McLaren in the table. Chat Racer and Valkyrie make up their lineup for today. Red Bull, they're 16 points back as well in the constructor. So a lot to play for in today's race, round 4 of the season. It's an 11-round season. For Tier 2 next week, we head to France. And we've not been there in this game yet for Tier 2 action or even Tier 1 action. France, one of the tracks that end up getting bogged off the calendar after real life doesn't have it. Not only that as well, but, you know, it's really, I'll call it a part-time track. One of the, we'll call it DLCs, right? It's not the exact same. It's one of the DLCs added in, classic tracks. You can call it as well. Added into the game Just like Portimao, just like China, real life does not run there anymore. They used to, but they don't. And with that being said, you know, RPL doesn't run those tracks as commonly as other leagues do. We have France next week, round 5. Tomorrow, big news for as well tomorrow, we're racing in Singapore. We're transferring all the way from Europe to Middle East, and we're racing in Singapore. Obviously not literally transferring, it's a freaking video game after all, but you get the point. So we're in Singapore tomorrow for F2 and F1. F1 Tier 1, F2. The F2 series, it's round number 4 of the season for them. Someone left the lobby and now needed to rejoin. Who was that? That's why we're having a little bit of a hold up on the restart here. I was Try Racer. There he is. He's back in. We should be going now. There we go. Yeah, F2 tomorrow. It's round 4 of the season for their series. I'll be on deck for commentary then as well. That's at 11:15 a.m. Eastern Time, 4:15 British Standard Time. With that said as well, there's a track change in Singapore. They used to have 2 chicanes in the final sector. Now those chicanes have been getting rid of. It's a complete straight. It's a temporary move, but with the track change, we now are in on it, and we get to race under the new model version of Singapore. And F1 Tier 1, they're also there as well for tomorrow, round 15 of the season. Reese leading the championship over Scyther. Can he hold on? 75-point gap, but nothing is confirmed yet as well. I mean, you know, you have a lot still at stake. Scyther is a really amazing driver. He can really return to form and make that gap shrink very, very quickly. But he's got to show up. He's got to show up. He's missed 6 races this season, and that's round 15 of the season. Same track, Singapore. So, should be tons of fun. All right, here we go. Here we go. Give us your predictions for the Grand Prix. Drivers are remembering to put in their setup, adjust their fuel, and now put in their strategy. For our strategy for the race, you go from soft to hards, medium to hards. Not as likely of a strategy, but soft to mediums. You can always do the reverse strategy, go medium to soft, hard to mediums, hard to soft. Anywhere from lap 9 to 15, maybe 17, we should be seeing drivers pit from in this race. And now we're waiting on lights out. Hopefully no glitches this time. We'll figure it out if there is. All right, round 4 of the season, about to get underway. Home of RPL, British Founded League, home of most of the drivers as well. A lot of the drivers, this is what they call home, this track, Silverstone. Here we go. Attempt number 2, getting underway. Here come the 5 red lights for the British Grand Prix. They rev it up, and we're lights out, away we go. Grandpa gets a decent start. It's going to be able to challenge Hunted off the line. He's going to be side by side into turn 1. Can't make anything of it. Hunted's ahead. Now Groggers challenges JTK. Gets ahead for 3rd place. And JTK now is falling down the order. JTK's had an incident. He's had something happen. And there's yellow flags at the back of the field. That's Jack Miles, Trat Racer, PK, involved in something there at the exit of turn 1. And now FBL and Tadpole, they trade spots for 6th place in the road. But for the lead, here comes Grandpa. Grandpa on the slipstream, trying to find some tow and trying to find a way past. Can he get through? Groggers is going to send one down the inside. They're going to go side by side at the beginning part of Sector 2. It's going to be Grandpa staying ahead. FBL, he's got a penalty. He's cut a corner, gained a place, and now down the order. That's Instincts. He's got damage to his car as well. He's had something happen there. And that's also Haas Blue Goggy who's got damage. And side by side into Cop's corner, Molly's ahead as Zakaria somehow remains ahead. And now, as the action continues to pick up, FBL holds on with his penalty for 6th place, and they're all jockeying for position behind that. Leon has gained spots. He's ahead on Goggy. Now for the lead. Can Grandpa make anything of Hunted? Your position changes. JTK down 7. Tadpole down 3. Up 5 for Luke. Up 4 for Leon. Up 2 for Goggy. And up 3 for Valkyrie. Zakaria's had a good start in that Williams as well. Trying to get them their best finish. And now on the back of Zakaria's FBL. And now leading lap 1. That is Grandpa. Or sorry, Hunted over Grandpa, excuse me. More yellow flags at the back. That's trouble toward the pit lane there. Something's happened there. PK pitting. Florian pitting. Tadpole pitting. All with damage at the end of lap 1 and having to repair what they had happen to them. See the different tires. Grandpa on the softs. Hunted on the mediums. You'll see the differing strategies from the drivers. But here we go. For the lead. No DRS yet. But the slipstream, the draft, whatever you want to call it, coming into effect for 1 and 2 and even P3 behind with Groggers. Can Groggers find a way past and challenge Grandpa? Can Grandpa find a way past for the lead? On those soft tires, different tires from your race leader. They'll have much more grip, much more time to find, and much more at stake when the strategies do differ, when pit stops come into play. You lose a total of 28 seconds in the pit lane. That's unbelievable around this track. Hunted continuing to lead the Grand Prix ahead of Grandpa there. You have much more battling throughout the field. Let's switch to that. Behind that, Zakaria and a little bit of a DRS train behind Molly. Place being traded. L74. She had a mythic. That's for the last points position. FBL also in the back of Zakaria trying to find his way past. A promotion to Aston Martin for FBL. He's going to make the most of that. Leading lap 2 is Hunted. Fastest lap to his credit. And now he's got Grandpa and Groggers will have DRS enabled this time behind him to try to find a way past. Question is, can they find a way past? Can they find a way past in time and put some pressure under Hunted, who's never won a race in Tier 2? He won a race previously under the Tier 1.5 name, but never anything under Tier 2. Groggers is now putting the pressure on Grandpa to find a way past. Can't do anything from it, though. It's Grandpa remaining in second place behind that. Here's FBL and Zakaria. Zakaria are on the inside line. FBL got to switch back. There's contact. FBL's got damage. It's spinning off of Zakaria. Oh, no. All right, then. There is the collision there at the beginning part of Sector 2 that we just feared happening with them too. After that, Valkyrie going to let FBL go. But I think FBL is damaged. He definitely does to his Aston Martin. He's got an in-plate missing. Grandpa now DRS again on Hunted. Can he go into the lead of the race? On Hunted. He ducks to the left side, around the outside. Can't do it right there. It's going to now invite Groggers now on him. He just can't find a way past. Not close enough yet. Jack Miles through on Mythic. Also ahead of that, JTK in the back of Valkyrie. There is FBL heading to the pit lane to repair that damage. Here we go, JTK trying to heat up Valkyrie for what is P5 here. More yellow flags. That's Tadpole off and out of this race. Looks like it's not going to bring out a safety car, but the only previous Tier 2 champion running this race not have the start to the season that he and Alpine would have wanted. Still continuing to follow this JTK on Valkyrie. Here goes JTK ducking out now on Valkyrie for P5. Can JTK get the move done with ease? Yes, he can. Now he's going back up on the order. And PK is now out. PK is retired in the pit lane, calling it quits. It has not been his race at all. Obviously, had the qualifying ban that should have been served, was served incorrectly, caused a collision with a driver in qualifying. More penalty points can be added to his name as well after today's race. But Grandpa follows suit in the slipstream, follows suit with DRS enabled on lap number 4 of this race, trying to make something of your race leader Hunted. The top 2 in the championship, running 1-2 on the track right now. Can't find a way past. Leon with a penalty. He is our first driver with a penalty for track limits. Oh, and down the inside, that's a lap car, and that's PK's retired car coming out of the pits. More issues being caused right there. However, Grandpa and the Slipstream, can he make anything of the race lead? Not yet. He's going to have to continue to wait. We've got Valkyrie and DRS of JTK. We've got Jack Miles on DRS of Luke. A lot of controversy surrounding Jack and Luke running this race, being Tier 1 drivers and not reserves. Obviously, I think their stuff will not count for their name when it comes to finishing the race. The same thing happened in Monza and USA. And now Grandpa, who you just saw right there go off the track just a little bit, now has a penalty to his name for track limits. And that's surely going to change the complexion of this race. Nothing going to happen between the top three for the lead. But, however, Jack Miles continues to follow Luke for P7, trying to find a way past. Now DRS and follows suit. Can he go through on the Alfa Romeo driver? Yes, he can. He is going to go through at Stowe. He's ahead. Can he keep it, though? Luke's going to try to challenge back. Not anything of it. Zakaria had that issue earlier in the race. He's through an Instincts, and Instincts and... yeah, Instincts is off. I was going to say Instincts and Goggy, but it wasn't Goggy there. Goggy did go for a slide, though. Nothing made from it, and now for the lead. Grandpa, who has that penalty, trying to put pressure now on Hunted. Can he find a way past for the race lead? Here goes Grandpa. Oh, that got close. And now he's ahead for the race lead. Grandpa does have that penalty to spare, though, so this will be important for the rest of this race, being in that penalty box with Leon. A little bit of a slide, but does remain in the lead. Behind that, Luke and L74, or sorry, Luke and Jack for P7, P8. Nothing being made from it. Now, Hunted really on the back of Grandpa now for the race lead once again. Trying to take it back. Can he take it back? Maggots and Beckett's we head to this time. If you're Hunted, you don't want to pick up that track limit penalty, that track limit warning, because you have Grandpa within that penalty box there. Rogers as well is right behind in this train. He doesn't have a penalty as well. And now here comes Hunted back at it. Hunted for the race lead. Pulls the outside line, goes through, is ahead. However, for how much longer? Grandpa's going to put some pressure there for the race lead back on Hunted. And he can't make anything of it. Got more battles as well. We saw Blue Goggy and Leon in a little bit of a battle for P13. Instincts went off, battling Tret Racer and Zakaria. 2 DNFs to this race so far. PK's was in the pit lane. And Tadpoles was on track there at Cop's Corner. And Hunted went a little bit wide there at turn 3. Couldn't find a way past. Was Grandpa. Yellow flags. That is for Blue Goggy now in the final sector. However, more is at stake for this race lead. Here's Grandpa ducking out. Inside line this time. Side by side. Can they keep it now into sector 2? Hunted gonna go ahead. Grandpa, does he yield here out of the corner with them being side by side and tight to one another? Yes, he does. Now he'll have his chance to run back at it here at Cop's Corner. Not close enough. Let's look at the battery here between the top 3. Hunted at 44, Grandpa at 54, and Rogers at 38. So all below the 60% range. And remember, this pit lane, you only save a matter of 23%, so they're not going to be fully charged back on that battery unless they just don't use it here. But they're in a battle. They have to use the battery to find a way past. Look at Molly. Look at JTK. All below 30% on that battery. You just can't have it. It's so crucial to this race to have a lot of battery to spare, especially when you're going for an overtake. And we could be seeing one for the lead. Grandpa is going to send one here. But with the traction loss you just saw right there, can he keep it? No, not yet. He's going to switch him back, though. If he wants to make the move, he can't make the move yet. Hunted there. Locked the rears, it looked like, there into the chicane. Not anything going to hinder him too much of that, but it is. Him leading lap 7 in this race is ahead still of Grandpa, the championship leader. He still would remain in the championship lead even with running P2 on track right now, P3 on penalties. And speaking of penalties, Blue Goggy is within the penalty range. He is off in the gravel. Not the way he would have wanted to have his race be hindered. And now Grandpa still following Hunted for the race lead. He went a little bit wide there, took a little bit of a wider line, trying to find some time now on your race leader Hunted. He cannot find his way past. Behind that, JTK and Molly, a little bit of a battle brewing between these two as well. This is the only battle inside the top 8 that involves DRS as well. Remember, if you're new to Formula 1, new to racing, whatever it may be, DRS, you got to be within DRS and have that rear wing open if you're within a second of a driver. You see the interval gaps on our screen. You have to be within a second in order to have that DRS. You find a little bit extra time from it with the rear wing being open. And that's exactly why the battery you see in the bottom of the screen right there, you see it says medium? Well, that's how much battery the driver has left as well on their car. You have to have a decent bit of battery left. If you're blinking, you're below 10%. You don't want any of that to have that happen to you. Excuse me. FBL, penalty to his name. He is low on the order and not had the race he would have wanted in his first race for Aston Martin this season, full time. 4th different driver to pick up a penalty. Yeah, 3 races in a row. Tadpole said he's had issues in lap 1. Not the way he would have wanted it to end. Especially for our previous champions. You know, you have your previous champion of Owen and a Haas, Tadpole and an Alpine, and now Grandpa and a McLaren trying to win the championship this season. Could do so with the championship lead. Goes through on Hunted, give him the squeeze, but now Hunted charges back on the inside line here for Luffield. Can he take it? They make contact. It's Hunted back to the lead. Grandpa has to yield there and wait another time to go past. Did Hunted pinch him just a little bit too much there into that corner due to the contact. And now Zakaria going through a Mythic does pick up a penalty. Trying to pinch Mythic. Oh, Mythic had to yield from that one. Zakaria gave him the squeeze. He had to use the bit of runoff, and now I think Zakaria is going to say, hey, I forced you out. I'm going to go let you go past. And he does just that. We also got Tret Racer following in this as well. It's going to be a little bit of a 3-wide Mythic. One to back out of that just in case of any issue. And luckily, there is no issue. Now down the straight. Grandpa cannot get past Hunted, and he is going to be the first one to blink. He heads to the pit lane, and he almost speeds. 37 you have to be into the pit lane with on miles per hour. 37 miles per hour. You have to be under the limit, and Grandpa was under the limit, luckily, just barely on those soft tires. You know, we did expect that considering it was a soft tire driver, one of the only drivers, in fact, the only driver who started on softs here. With that said, you pit usually a little bit earlier, lap 9-ish, lap 10, a little bit later if you're on the soft tires. His soft tires were starting to die, and that was not ideal. Perfect time to pit though and go for the undercut on your race leader Hunted. Luckily, Grandpa does not come out in any traffic at all, and there's more yellow flags. That's blue Goggy. Front wing gone, and now a safety car. This absolutely hurts Grandpa's race. Last week in Austria, you got helped by the safety car. This week, he's got hurt by the safety car. Blue Goggy brings out the safety car for his broken front wing. Well, I could tell you right now, there's going to be a lot of drivers who are not happy with that. No doubt in my mind. Safety car bringing the halt to the race, and we're going to see some pit stops, surely, from drivers who have yet to pit. Mainly the medium runners. If you're a hard runner like Tret Racer, even Blue Goggy, well, maybe not Blue Goggy because you have damage, or FBL, you're surely going to stay out here. Unless you feel your mediums can go to the end of the race, and it is Zakaria who's not happy with Mythic for giving him a 3-second. He feels that he is at fault for that, and you see basically the entire field got to be coming in. Oh, Zakaria slides into pit lane, and that's going to cost him a bit. He's going to be behind Tret Racer now, who's pitting on those hard tires. Grandpa, obviously the lone driver who's staying out right here. Oh my gosh, Leon Miner staying out as well. You want to cause havoc? Well, that's one way to do it. And Grandpa will be behind the Red Bull and the Ferrari of Hunted and Groggers, to no surprise there. That safety car absolutely screwed him. Yeah, Leon's going to be 8th right here in the middle of the pack. Oh boy. This should be fun. Want to catch the rest of the action for the weekend? Well, tomorrow, F2 and F1. We're in Singapore. I'll be on deck for commentary for F2. Titan and I will be commentating Tier 1. Tier 1 at 3 p.m. Eastern, 8 p.m. UK time, and 11:15 a.m. Eastern and 4:15 p.m. UK time for F2. Yet to pit in this race is just Leon, but that's no surprise. Leon doing Leon things, a little bit of race tactics there. I don't know if he's trying to help out his teammate at all, but if he is, smart, as long as you keep it clean. Hunted's just got extreme good pace. He had it in qualifying, he's shown it so far in the race, but can he keep it now with the safety car coming into play? You know, you basically, if you're a driver who is not wanting to get undercut there by Grandpa, or you were in a battle within 3 seconds and you weren't wanting to get undercut, well, that changes the outcome completely. And Grandpa does have that penalty with the race being neutralized. Well, you have more drivers who could be within that 3-second window of his. JTK in the Red Bull is now closed up there. JTK's been on a streak of top 6 finishes when he's raced in RPL. Looks like he could continue that as well. So, a lot could happen now, and Leon and FBL both pit. That's disaster for Aston Martin. Why would you pit at the same time? You're going to be double stacking. Luckily, though, it's under the safety car, though. And they'll be at the back of the grid on this restart, surely. Someone we've not talked about is Florian. He didn't really have the start to his race that he wanted to. He had the qualifying ban. He had a lap 1 incident there. And he had to pit for a new front wing. He's now got a chance to be up there. He's P13 on this restart in his Ferrari. He has a chance to recover that gap and recover any points lost, really, from what the table would have been after this race, but he's got a long way to go. We're only about to be halfway in this race as well, and you have Florian, who, honestly, I hate to say it, even though he had the lap 1 collision, you can't do anything with that, but hasn't done what is needed, in my opinion, to get up the field and get a good result like he would want to. Here are your fastest laps from the drivers so far in this race as well. For those of you wanting to know, we'll give you a look at penalties in just a moment. 5 drivers have them. 11 drivers remain without one. And the thing I look at in terms of this race as well, I look at, you know, where have the drivers got a podium from this season? I don't think anyone's got a podium from that far down on the grid like Florian started. So, you know, it's going to be very, very tricky to get a podium there. Bulgogi, who caused the safety car, is going to catch up to the back of the pack, and the safety car should be in at the end of the lap. FBL and Leon, who pitted for fresh tires, also at the back of the pack as well. And the safety car is in. So here we go. Hunted leads the race. And what's happened to him? Oh my god. He has hit the back of the safety car, and he's got no front wing. Oh my goodness. This race has just been flipped upside down. Hunted, your leader, enters the pit lane with the safety car coming in, and Groggers will lead them on the restart here. And he goes now. He is off and away. But not without a challenge here. He's got Grandpa on the back of him. JTK's there as well. So Hunted, P2 in the championship, behind Grandpa. Issues to him. Grandpa with the penalty. Not many issues like that, but here he goes, throwing one down the inside. They're going to be side by side here as they're about to enter the hangar straight. It is Groggers ahead. Grandpa getting a little bit of a tap from JTK. He's going to try to do what he can to help out his teammate, but for the lead, Grandpa looking now on Groggers. Groggers going to show him the inside line. Can Grandpa go through? Grandpa on the inside line, side by side for the lead, and it is going to be Groggers remaining ahead. However, Grandpa going to try to cut back here and have the inside line for the next corner. He can't get through. Jack Miles through on Valkyrie. Also, Valkyrie also being followed and hackled by L74G. Here goes Valkyrie at Cops Corner. She's around. L74G and Zakaria all get damage from that. And that brings out the second safety car to this race. Valkyrie going for a move at Cops. The move was just not there, it looked like. And that is going to end her pursuit for points. And oh! Zakaria and Valkyrie have just come to collision there under the safety car. Oh my goodness. 74G with damage. Zakaria picked up damage to his car. We'll see who else picked up damage by them coming to the pit lane this time. Mythic surely did then. Oh my gosh. Said it perfectly with Valkyrie getting the podium in Spain. You have a driver who can really do well, has the pace to be up front, has everything in her hands to challenge for wins, podiums in the future of RPL Tier 2. But it's moves like that that are preventing her from doing so. Mythic, Luke, Zakaria, Gagi, all pitting, and look who's going to take advantage there. Breaking the front wing under the safety car. Hunted. New mediums. Now can charge through the field. Florian as well. He's lagged out of the session. He's now joined back. Oh my gosh. And Zakaria, from that collision, has side pod damage and rear wing damage. Wow. I mean, there's certain times where you can go for the move like that, and it's especially with being fully alongside, but she just was not fully alongside. It was just silly to go for it. That's really unfortunate. Valkyrie surely has to be kicking herself for that one. Welcome back to the chat there. Yeah, chat, give us your prediction for the rest of the race, honestly. We're interested to know what you think will happen for the rest of this race with the safety car neutralizing things once again. It's unfortunate because that really puts an end to, I would say, Zakaria's chance at points. Potentially Mythic's as well. Mythic usually stays at a lot of trouble at the back of the field. He knows he's not in pace, but exactly what gets him a decent amount of finishes. L74G as well involved in that. It's just unfortunate. Also, Hunted had the collision with the safety car. Funny enough. I mean, it's very rare to collide with the safety car in RPL, let alone in league races, and that happened to Hunted. Cost him the race lead. Had to pit for a new front wing to repair it, and had to go to the back of the grid. Gets helped by a safety car. Now he's back in this race. He has a chance for points. He has two runners in front of him who have penalties, and he's right near the driver he collided with. You know, they always say, rivalries in sports, you know, you love to have them. Well, you got it right here with 11th and 12th place. Florian and Hunted are back at it. Let's watch this on the restart at some point. How much room do these drivers give each other? Obviously, Hunted was not too happy with Florian. Florian originally not too happy with Hunted, but later realizing who was at fault. Florian kicking himself for that one last week. And Leon Miner, penalty is spared, but he's in the points as well. So fair play to him. Valkyrie as well could be facing a penalty for that move as well. Instincts back in this race too. Tret Racer, the one on mediums here, without a penalty, P6. I mean, there's a lot to play for, and with Grandpa having that penalty, this puts Molly in pursuit for a podium for Alpine. They had a total of 3 podiums last season. They were impressive. They were challenging Ferrari for second in the championship table. And look at how that turned out. They didn't get second, but they got third, and they were very, very close to Ferrari, who are definitely on form to start this season. Safety car will be coming in. I'm gonna take a quick break. Head to the bathroom, and once I'm back, the restart will be underway, and I'll be there for it. So I'll be back in just a moment. All right, here we go. Groggers, has control of the pace under the safety car. No front wings missing under the safety car from the leaders this time. However, Gruggers is off and away now. Gotta nail that traction in the final couple corners. Don't play the overtake too early, and don't get on the gas too early. But he is off and away. 11 laps to go. Gruggers, your race leader, trying to hold it over Grandpa, trying to hold over JTK, who's just picked up a penalty there at turn 1. So this changes this race completely. And now Florian goes through on Leon Minor. Now Hunt is going to try to send one up the inside of Leon Minor. He goes through as well. Leon under tons of pressure trying to stay inside the points. L74G goes through. And now Blue Goggy wants his chance as well. And the two rivals from last week, Hunted and Florian, going back at it. However, in front of that, Jack Miles, Molly, also close for a position as well. This is for 4th place and technically net P2 on the road as well. More drivers picking up penalties, as you can see as well. In this race, going to be a big factor toward the end of this race. Trap Racer following in the slipstream. He's on the fresher medium tires, going to have a big advantage here. Valkyrie going through in Instincts. That was done easy with dust, and there goes FBL off the road once again there. Trying to find some time, but using track limits to do so. And here we go, once again, Hunted on the back of Florian. They touch again for the 2nd week in a row. Luckily, it's not a race-ending collision this time. And now, here's Luke on the back of them as well for a point spot. He's trying to have a look. You have 3 wide in the background between the last 3 runners as well. However, Florian does stay ahead of Hunted, and now Hunted going to try back at Florian. This is a battle we've been wanting to see. Can these two keep it clean? Hunted on the inside line for the next corner. He does go through. Florian does give him the space. Tons of respect this time between them two. Goggy with a penalty. JTK with the fastest lap. It's all kicking off with 10 laps remaining in this race. If you want to find the time and you want to find the places up on the board to find your position on the road, you have to do so now. 6 different drivers in this race still with penalties. Could change the outcome completely, especially the top 3 runners. DRS not enabled just yet, but with JTK behind on Grandpa, he will definitely put some pressure on Grandpa here and tell him, we got to pull a 3-second gap here. We could do it. FBL goes through an Instincts, and now Hunted is trying to look around the outside. Can he do it? He's also got Florian there to follow. Both these two could be working together to get back up to the field. Hunted around the outside. No way they'll go side by side at Cops. Surely someone backs out, and it is Instincts who backs out there. And now Hunted tries to go 2-1. Can Hunted go on FBL? No, he doesn't. Instincts lets Florian by. The Academy teammate right there. Easily done. Move made. With these L74G now trying an Instincts. He's trying to go through. Here's FBL having pressure from Hunted now. Can Hunted go by now, entering Sector 3? Hunted around the outside, going to try to keep it. Can't keep it just yet. He's going to switch him back to the inside line for the next corner. Can they keep it by the chicane side by side? It is Hunted who's ahead. They remain wheel to wheel, but almost contact. It is Hunted ahead. And now Florian will try his chance to get ahead. These two are looking for multiple points on the board here today. DRS now enabled for these cars in a train. Here's Florian to turn 1 on the inside line. Usually you don't see a move right there, but he goes through. Unbelievable. And now the lead heating back up once again. Grandpa on the back of Gruggers. JTK there as well to follow pursuit, but they have penalties to spare. Here's Grandpa on Gruggers, easily through for the lead. Gruggers can't challenge back, but behind that as well, we've got FBL challenging Florian with the DRS employed. Here goes the inside. They touch. FBL's around, and that surely was inevitable. Side by side there, late into the corner. Never going to work. And his teammate goes through it with FBL. Very, very unfortunate end to what could have been FBL's run for points there. He also had the penalty to spare, so very critical there to their races. Here goes Gruggers, trying to challenge back at the lead. Remember, he's not got a penalty. His last win in RPL came in Spain, round 5 of last season. He's trying for a 3rd win in this game cycle. Can he try it, though? His last start in RPL, he had a podium at Vegas. He was in that involved in that photo finish between him and Bonkers. As you saw Grandpa slide there from the lead, positions trading all throughout the field, and the DRS train's behind that. But now it's 6 cars under a blanket for the race lead. Oh, Gruggers defends off. JTK cuts him off right there. And he can't go through. JTK is going to have to find another way past. This continues to bunch these cars together. Strat Racer gets closer. Jack trying for a move on Molly. Behind that, there's moves being made at the back of the field. Zakari and Mythic traded spots, but for the lead, Groggers inside line on Grandpa. Can he go through again? Yes, he can. He takes back the top spot in this race. Behind that, Jack Miles also trying to find a way past on Molly. This would be for P2 and P3 on this podium, so penalties applied by the end of this race. Jack Miles following through into Cop's corner. We saw a collision already. Jack Miles backs out of it in a smart manner. Very big for Grandpa not to lose out too many spots here in terms of the championship lead. You want to extend it, but you're not going to extend it too much if you're P5 here. You have to make sure you're ahead of JTK. He would be P4 right now on the road. Here's JTK following in the slipstream of Grandpa. Can't find a way past. Behind that, Strat Racer and Jack Miles also following another. And Hunted and Florian, who have a ton of pace left on the cards. They're trying to find their way into DRS right here. And with this continuous battling, we could have an 8-car run, maybe a 9-car run for the lead. 9 cars under a blanket would be incredible to this race with 6 laps now remaining. JTK in the back of Grandpa once again. Can't find a way past for the position. I mean, look at this. We have the top 6 cars under 2 seconds right here. That's how close this field is. Grandpa going to challenge back at this. Remember, he does have the penalty inside line on Groggers for the race lead. He does go through this time, but can he keep it? He ran a little bit wide there. I think he tried to find a little bit of time with that line for the next corner to remain ahead, and he does remain ahead. This battling, like I said, she's going to catch Hunted, Florian, and Luke up, and it does. They are catching up from this. And Zakaria now crashed out of this race. It brings out the safety car. Oh, that is so big for this race with the penalties up front. Major implications to Zakaria, who had great pace in this race. Had a couple incidents already to his name. One with an Aston Martin. Another involved in the Valkyrie mess there at Cop's corner. He's now crashed out with a self-spin, it looks like. And does anybody here, late in this race, pit for soft tires? Remember, those soft tires, they'll be good for a matter of, I don't know, 9 or so laps. And we do have some of the leaders coming in. This is crucial to this race. JTK with the penalty stays out. Hunted stays out on those mediums. L74G also stays out. Oh boy. Well, Leon Miner stays out. He has the penalty to spare. Oh, how fun this could be. This is perfect for Leon to try to get some points in the cars. He's got to hope for utter chaos, especially considering he has penalties to his name. He's been clean this race, I would say, from what we've seen so far. I mean, he gave a lot of room in the first sector when guys were battling him on much fresher tires. And much faster drivers, in fact, too. But it's 6th on back who pit for soft tires. And Grandpa ahead of Groggers, then Molly, Strat Racer, Florian with the double stack. Both Haas's with a double stack, both Mercedes with a double stack. Wow. A lot to still unravel in this race, and look at this. A lot remaining. Hunted, net race leader right now. The pole sitter in RPL has won 2 of the last 7 races. Well, it could be 3 of 8 today if Hunted can win with Red Bull 1-2 right now. But JTK has a penalty, so don't expect it to stay that way for too long. With how many cars stayed out with the laps remaining, Hunted still could win this race based on what we have right now. We've got 5 drivers with penalties, 15 still in this race. Here's the penalty check for you guys. Since Red Bull are 1-2 right now, I know they have penalties, but we'll bring this up for the sake of it. Mercedes, the only team with a double podium with both cars on it this season so far. That was in round 2, Spain, with a 2-3 for their name. That was Valkyrie and JTK when JTK was in the Mercedes Academy. Now he's at Red Bull. see what he could do also with those penalties. You know, he's got quite the charge to lead here. And yeah, with Hunted not winning a Tier 2 race under the Tier 2 name, Tier 2 banner, we could see a 9 different winner in 14 or 15 races. That's how competitive Tier 2's been. And those 14 races make up the F1 23 Tier 2 game cycle. 14 races ran on F1, 23 with Tier 2, this being the 15th. A lot of drivers who want to make a name for themselves, want to do what they can to say, hey, I'm the next face of RPL here in this tier for this academy, whatever it is. This is why I'm relevant. This is why you should look out for me. Well, we're seeing exactly why with some of these drivers as well. And as well, you know, some drivers could also score some points as well for the first time this season too. I will say though, all teams have scored points, so it's not like a brand new team who has not scored points so far this season would score points. They all have scored points, so. Yeah, part of the drivers not having points to their name this season, Instincts, Molly. There are more drivers who do not have points. Blue Goggy as well. Sorry, I made a mistake there with Groggers. Groggers did race in Bahrain. He was P7. The last time he did have a podium there was in the photo finish, not the last time he raced. Excuse me on that one. And lastly, Mythic, who's in the top 5 as well. Mythic's up there in the points. At 5th place in Bahrain, is 6th in Austria. And now the safety car is in. Here we go. We're going to click off the penalties here. We'll go to the tire allocation here. And remember, it's JTK who controls his pace right here. He chooses when to go, but he can't be very excessive and inconsistent about this pace. You have to keep a very consistent pace as you lead the restart. He has a penalty. Is he trying to protect for his teammate? What results he's trying to get staying out here? 5 drivers stayed out. The rest pitted. Here we go. 5 have penalties as well. 10 don't. Underway again for the restart. JTK leads him. And we're now in crunch time. Just a couple laps remaining in this race. It is now or never. Can Luke get on the back of Hunted and try something for this race lead? For the net race lead, excuse me. Behind that, Grandpa already trying to get by Mythic here. They're 3 wide. Grandpa goes through on Mythic and Leon. And Bulgogi has a penalty to spare. There's Groggers as well, trying on the inside, on the outside line there of Mythic. You see 3 wide right there. That could be tight. Oh boy. Molly going through. Mythic falling back on the order. Jack Miles losing a place right there. Trat Racer trying to go through. You have on the inside line right there Mythic on Trat Racer. Mythic is spun around. And there's more yellow flags. You have Groggers and Leon making contact right there. I said Leon's been clean this race, but that might be the one moment things change for sure. Grandpa trying to go through now for 3rd place on Luke. Can he go through? Behind that, Trat Racer trying to gain spots and go up the field. Here he comes on Leon. He goes through. And now, Grandpa trying to gain the position now on Luke. Grandpa does have the penalty to spare, but Hunted, your net race leader, is P2 on the road, and he would be the one fighting Grandpa. Here goes Grandpa, far to the inside line. The little squeeze there Luke pulled on him was not enough. Grandpa ahead. Groggers as well, fighting with Molly. Molly goes off the track. Groggers to the inside line here at the chicane. Trat Racer follows behind. Molly and Groggers almost go up. Trat Racer trying to go through. He does. Out of the final corner. Trat Racer, shades of Lewis Hamilton, is ahead. But can he stay ahead? He's got Molly to challenge. Both them off the track. Re-enters the circuit. Pitches Groggers side by side. Groggers sends one. And Trat Racer off the road. Can he re-enter safely? They're 3 wide. And Trat Racer loses the rear. Makes contact with Molly. Florian going through. Florian trying to get the both of them. And Florian's really boxed in. He's trying to go on the inside line. Can't go through. He has a lot of company there. And now he switched to the lead. Hunted now having pressure from Grandpa. And JTK, our race leader. But with a penalty. Grandpa has one too with just 3 laps remaining. Coming to 2 this time. Here they go for the lead. Hunted on the inside line of your race leader. He goes through. He's ahead. Florian now picking up a penalty. Very crucial stuff to this race. Can Grandpa go through on JTK? And with those newer soft tires, can he extend a three-second gap if he goes through? Hunted now has a penalty. L740 in the net lead. Hunted lets JTK go through. Now fights with Grandpa. Side by side between P1 and P2 in the championship. They almost come together. And now side by side it's Stowe. They're going to remain side by side. Almost losing the rear there was Hunted. And now Grandpa goes through. Groggers goes through on Luke. On the inside line, Trent Racer Molly go back at it again. They will not fight this without elbows out. Here goes Molly ahead. Florian with that penalty goes ahead of Jack as well. DRS enabled, so this is now crunch time for these guys. Blue Goggy with a penalty. Goggy retires from this race. Florian ahead of Trent Racer. It's all kicking off in the remaining stages of this race. And here goes Grandpa, switching back on JTK. He's going to take over the race lead on those fresh soft tires. And Trout Racer now also in the thick of things, trying to gain spots. He will gain spots with the penalties in front of him, but by how much? He also is in a severe fight for P5. So just got word from Owen, if L74G were to win this race based on penalties, it would not count. So we're looking at Groggers now, who's trying to go back to the top step of the podium. We'll focus on the leader gap right now. Very crucial for Hunter to get through on his teammate. He has to do so. Here comes Molly. Molly going through on Luke. Forward is P5 and could be P2 when penalties are applied. You have to find time. If you're Groggers or Molly, though, you have to continue to find time. Groggers losing time now compared to Grandpa, who's trying to extend that gap. Final lap of this race. Can Groggers stay within 3 seconds? Can Grandpa hold on? This last lap is very critical to this Grand Prix. Groggers really from what was P7, P8-ish on the restart right there. Now could win this off penalties, not even finishing on the podium on track right now. Grandpa as well. Had the safety car come out at the wrong time, hindered his chance at this race victory. It was a disaster for him, but now he's got to be ahead of Groggers by 3 seconds to get this race win. They're using all their battery, trying to find the time. We're looking at this battle from what is 6th on back, side by side there. Florian gonna go around. Florian careering off, and that is an accident that could put him outside the points here to end this race. The gap is 2.7. Will it be enough? Grandpa trying to hang on over Hunted and JTK. Grandpa gonna come out of the final corner. He's won 2 races already. Gonna try to make it 3 if he can just hang on by 3 seconds. Grandpa sees the flag first. However, Groggers comes to the line, wins his first race since Spain of last season. Groggers gets Ferrari back on the top step of the podium for the 2nd time this season. He wins the British Grand Prix. Basically his home race here. Back on top. Grandpa, JTK round out the podium. Molly and Hunted were just so close to the podium, but they couldn't do it. Grandpa could not get the gap out of 3 seconds. Groggers does it. Groggers remains in 3 seconds and wins the British Grand Prix. The Welsh driver wins in Britain. How about that? Wow. And here's your podium celebration. A home race win for Groggers, basically. A home race win. I mean, Welshmen are considered this their home race, you could say. It's not the exact part of the UK, but it is still. It's in that area of those 3-4 countries. Either way, as the American tries to figure out some geography, here are your final results. Groggers ahead of Grandpa, then JTK running up the podium. 3 different teams in the podium. How about 4 different teams inside the top 4? Alfa Romeo with Luke inside the points will be given to Florian there after results come through. Red Bull needed that for their constructor hopes as well to get back in this race. 3rd different winner on the season. It's Groggers. Here are your results. We're going to go down the order quickly. Get up, everybody. Yeah, there we go. Okay. All right, then. Congrats to the Welshman on the victory. Yep, Jack trying to talk it over with Valkyrie about the lunge there at Cops that just never worked out. I wonder if Valkyrie does think it's her fault. We're going to see. Valkyrie's not too worried about it. Well, there you go. You want to catch us for this weekend for RPL? Well, we have action continuing tomorrow in Singapore. F2. 11:15 a.m. Eastern, 4:15 p.m. UK time. I will be your commentator for that one. We'll see what happens between Ads Bourbon, who battle it out for the championship lead. For Tier 1, Reese and Scyther. Reese trying to win his first title in RPL. You got to conquer Singapore first in order to get there. 8 races remaining in the Tier 1 season. Singapore is at 3 p.m. Eastern, 8 p.m. UK time tomorrow. Remember, both races tomorrow. Both the same track at Singapore. We'll give you a little bit of a run through the new section for those of you who aren't familiar. I want to iterate that, but for those of you looking to tune in tomorrow and clicking off the stream now, catch us then for those races. Let's give you a little bit of insight on the new section of Singapore that we're talking about. Why do we talk about it so much? Why are we hyping this up with this section? Well, I've seen some races so far, and it really could lead to more overtaking in that area. And it's interesting because if there is a safety car for both races tomorrow, that's exactly where people could really go from. Not only that, but really a really big section where you could gain time, where you could lose time. A lot happens in that area of the track in Singapore, which previously had 2 chicanes to it, a right-left, a left-right, leading to the next chicane. Now you have a straight leading to a chicane. That's why it's completely different. We're going to have it in the daytime. Don't care. With that said, let me unpause for a moment. I'll put us in photo mode without the car for you people to see. Why are we hyping this up? Why is this corner this way? Why is it changed? Well, here you go. This race will be run in the nighttime for Tier 1. It should be. So here's the chicane that you always had right here. We're going a little bit backwards now on the track. And right out of that corner is where you'd have the previous chicane right there. That was the exit of it, and right here. Right around... Let's find it. And right there. Right there is where that chicane started. It's exactly what we're talking about. And like we were mentioning, Salesforce. As you come through this corner, usually you'd start braking around here. You'd head right. Now it's a complete straight. There's no DRS right here, but if you're close enough to a driver in a fierce battle, I mean, overtaking right here, very critical, very crucial, opens up a lot of new opportunities. And with a straight heading into this corner, I feel like, in my personal opinion, from the action I've done so far on time trial and in some open lobby races, which I would love to compete in with the drivers tomorrow, open lobby practice. Maybe if the drivers do hold it, I'll do some action there. this corner. It leads to a lot more mistakes in this corner because it's not as flowing. Well, I shouldn't say it's not as flowing. It's not the same as you'd expect it to be. You expect a different line through there, and you know, you could have a mistake on traction in the second part because of how much speed you enter in the first part of the chicane. Obviously, so much can happen, and really, you could get your braking all wrong heading into here in the chicane. So, a lot at stake for tomorrow's Grand Prix in Singapore. We have Tier 2. Excuse me, wow. F2, F1. F1 Tier 1. Tomorrow at Singapore. Both the same track. Tier 1 should be under the lights. F2, probably not. Either way, 3 p.m. Eastern, 8 p.m. UK, 11:15, 4:15. Catch us for the action tomorrow for the race. Titan and I will be on commentary for Tier 1, and I will be by myself for F2. It is time to close out the night. Wherever you are, whenever you're watching this, have a good day, have a good evening, and have a good night. We will see you next time for the Grand Prix in France next week. And then later this weekend as well, if you're tuning into the action for the rest of the weekend, in Singapore. Till next time, I'm your commentator, Ryan Ocon, and we will see you next time for RPL action for Tier 2 or F2 or Tier 1. Good night.